All right, guys, welcome back to Car DFS, The Process. Today, I'm going to be talking about PGA for 8/3/17, which is Thursday. Uh, Before I get into my picks, the guys that I'm looking at, I want to give you my approach to the course. And as you can see on the screen, off the tee, I ranked at 17, and the way I rank it is, based on each hole. So if each hole deserves a off the tee or needs an off the tee type of ranking, or tee to green, or approach, or distance, accuracy, scramble, whatever, that's how I rank it. So out of the 18 holes, I have 17 holes that off the tee would be really well. I mean, you need a player that's really not really good off the tee, but pretty good off the tee. Tee to green, you got 16 holes that tee to green will be very beneficial, and sometimes tee to green, I can confuse it with greens and regulation. So understand that not all holes, not all 16 are going to be tee to green, but a few of them are going to be greens and regulation. Approach is going to be an important one. Distance is going to be an important one. Accuracy and scrambling. Scrambling is going to be one of the most important ones, and it's going to go overlooked simply because most people are going to focus on distance. And don't get me wrong, distance, if I had to just go with anything other than what I have on the screen, I would say ball striking and distance is basically going to be key to winning this, or having a golfer to win this tournament. But you don't want to load up on distance. I mean, yes, it's great to have, but if you don't have accuracy, if you don't have off the tee, if you don't have tee to green, none of this stuff, it kind of won't matter. So just to give you a little insight on where most people are gonna head towards, they're gonna look for golfers who can really strike the ball, who can get it flying. But let's just say you have a golfer that can strike the ball 300 plus yards, but they're off the tee and their accuracy is just shit. It's a crapper. He probably won't be that much effective. I mean, and then again, it might not be, it might work, it might not. So my approach to the course is off the tee as number one, tee to green number two, approach 14. Number three, distance 4, and accuracy 5. And you're probably saying, why is accuracy one of the lower ones? Well, because it's important, but not as important, you know. So, and then I have scramble down at the bottom, and I have 18 next to it. 18 mean all 18 holes. These golfers needs to be able to scramble. And the reason being is because, let's just say you have distance but no accuracy, no greens in regulation, no approach or something like that. Well, you need to own your scrambling ability. And one of the best scramblers, and he's not ranked as number one, but one of the best scramblers I've seen so far is Jordan Spieth. And I'm be honest with you, maybe because I'm biased, I like Ricky Fowler more than Jordan Spieth, but he's good at what he does. He's bad off the tee, but when it comes to scrambling and making things happen, he makes it work. But that's enough of that. I just wanted to give you my approach to the course and what I'm going to be looking for in golfers. So these are the key stats that I'm going to be looking for in golfers: off the tee, tee to green, approach, distance, accuracy, scrambling. All right. Now, as we go to the next page, these are the golfers that I've selected, or that met my stats from for the course. As you can see at the bottom, I highlighted all the key stats. If it's a green, that means they're great at that. If it's a yellow, that means they're good. If it's an orange, that means they're average. If it's a pink, I don't have a red highlighter, so bear with me. But if it's a pink, that means they're poor at that stat. And then the stars. So if it's a 3-star, that means I highly favor these guys. They're on my radar plus 10. If it's a 2-star, that means they're probably going to be someone I use as a pivot off of my 3-star players, or to build a good quality lineup. If it's a 1-star, that means they're either going to be, one, highly owned in ownership. They're very, very good for this tournament, but I choose to go with a better player or pivot player. Or 3, if all else fails and I choose to build a lineup without my 3-star players, these guys are going to be the one to be my fillers. So if you go down the list, I don't have Jordan Spieth's highlighted, or not highlighted. I don't have a star by Jordan Spieth. And again, like I say, maybe, I'm biased and I like Ricky Fowler more, but it is what it is. And, I'm not saying he won't do good at this course. He probably will. But when it comes to distance, I have him ranked at a 96. And honestly, yeah, he's good at the tee to green and approach, but his off the tee is bad. His distance isn't the best. He's kind of poor at the distance in the distance category, and his accuracy is kind of lacking as well. Now, for my 3 stars, I have DJ and I have McIlroy. So I have Rory. So here's the thing: a lot of people are probably not going to be on Rory. I mean, me personally, I'm not going to pick him simply because if I'm going to take a risk on a player, I want that player to either be mid-tier or low tier versus high tier. And let's just say, for example, this tournament, Rory takes up a lot of ownership. If Rory takes up a lot of ownership and he doesn't do as good, then I'm asked out in that tournament. That means I done spent all my bankroll on Rory to do good, and he flopped. Now, I'm not saying he's going to flop for this tournament. I am not saying that at all. In fact, I think he, DJ, and John Rahm are the key 3 that might win it. However, you don't want to spend all you. I mean, I can build a lineup and get both DJ and McIlroy, but I just don't want to take that risk with Rory. I think he's gonna be overlooked. I think, but at the same time, I think his ownership is gonna be somewhat moderate. Now with DJ, he is gonna be the chalk. I believe his ownership is gonna be. I mean, especially if you think about what happened last weekend with Jonathan Vegas. And how he came in first again. He won that tournament, plus he won it last year. I think a lot of people are going to play off that narrative. All right, so if Jonathan Vegas can do it, then DJ can do it. So they're going to expect DJ to win this tournament this year because he did it last year. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying, because of that narrative, he's going to be the chalk. I believe Spieth and DJ are going to be Dustin Johnson are going to be the chalk for this tournament. However, I have him as a 3-star because if you think about it, he meets 5 out of 6 categories for me, and the only category he lacks is accuracy. Again, if you look at the way I have accuracy, it's at the bottom. It's at 12 holes he needs to be really accurate at, and has an 18 is next to scrambling. So if you look at how I'm going to approach the course and you look at the stats that I'm looking for, yes, his accuracy is kind of not that good, not that great. But if you compare it to the guys that I'm actually looking at who I consider to be a 3-star, even though Jon Rahm is not a 3-star, I have Jon Rahm at a 2-star, but he actually meets every stat except for accuracy as well. But his accuracy is a little bit better than Dustin Johnson. Not only is his accuracy a little bit better than Dustin Johnson, his scrambling ability it's above average. It's good. It's not bad. It's okay. So again, like I said, you can make a lineup and put Dustin Johnson and McIlroy in it. That's great. I mean, you can do it. It's possible. I've done it. But I don't want to take a risk on McIlroy because I feel as though he can boom. I believe he can provide a good stat line, but let's just say he busts. Let's say instead of booming, he busts. Then I'm looking assed out for the rest of my lineup because everybody else are going to probably have Koepka, Fowler, Matsuyama, Kuchar, Garcia, Casey, and things of that nature. So again, that's just my insight on that situation. Going down the list, I have Fowler highlighted. Like I said, I might be biased. I might just like Fowler. I have Matsuyama highlighted. With a star next to him. And I'm gonna be honest with you. If I had to choose, I would choose Matsuyama over Fowler. And that's just me being honest. I think he's gonna come in the top 20, if not the top 10, for Matsuyama. I have John Rahm. I already told you why I choose John Rahm. Simply because he's gonna be that pivot point from Dustin and McIlroy. If you look at the Vegas odds, they have Dustin and McIlroy priced. I mean, not priced, but they have him highly favored. John Rahm he's okay. He's favored. He's like in the middle. He's favored okay, but he could be a pivot play that people might pick up on. He could end up being chalky. Matsuyama definitely could end up being a little highly owned. Garcia, I'm not saying I'm gonna stay off him completely this tournament, Sergio, but he's not that interesting to me when I can get somewhat similar performances from Paul Casey, and for a lesser price. So if I had to compare and contrast, I would pick Paul Casey over Garcia simply because he meets my stats, or the stats that I'm looking for, a little bit better than Sergio Garcia. Now, moving on down the list, I also have Adam Scott. He's one of those plays where I believe he's just going to be there just to be there. He's going to do okay. I'm not saying I don't think he's going to win the tournament. I think with his scrambling ability, and that's another thing I want to touch on too. Paul Casey has an amazing scrambling ability. His accuracy is average. His distance is poor. That's where he lacks, and I think distance will play a good factor, but it's not that poor. His distance is like on par to being average, to be honest with you. It's not poor, like it's not bad, it's not horrible. It's just, when I do my stats and how I measure things out, it's like one notch above being average. From being average. His tee to green is great, his approach is great, and his off the tee is average. So, and that's something you might want to look at. But one of the guys that really, really sticks out to me, and he's a mid-tier guy, is Tommy Fleetwood. His off the tee is good, great. His tee to green is great. His approach is good. His distance is good. I mean, his accuracy. This is what got me. His accuracy is great. Not too many golfers have great accuracy, especially when they're hitting pretty big. So Tommy Fleetwood, honestly, I think Tommy Fleetwood is gonna be in the top 10. I have a 1-star by him simply because he doesn't hit the green. He's not in the green. He's not great in every category. He's only 3 out of 6, and that's not going to deter me from picking him. He is probably going to be in majority of my lineups. A lot of people are talking about Daniel Berger. I'm not saying he's a bad choice or a bad pick, but when it comes to my lower 2 stats that I'm looking at, and that's accuracy and distance, or distance and accuracy, should I say? He kind of, his distance is average, but his accuracy is poor. It's not that appealing to me, simply because for his price point, I can go a little bit lower and get somebody that can meet his standards or do as well as he would, and that would be Ross Fisher. If you look at Ross Fisher, his off the tee is average. His tee to green is great. His approach is great. His accuracy and his distance and accuracy, it's average. His scrambling is great. So, that would be my pivot from Daniel Berger. And I heard a lot about Berger, but if I had to pivot from him, I would pivot down and I would go with Ross Fisher. Again, like I said, you're gonna want to try to look at ownership, and you don't want to pick all the good guys that, or all the top big name guys that everybody else are going to pick. And you'll see why. I mean, when I get to the bottom of my list, you're going to be like, damn, you're going to pick this guy? Wait till I get to him. You'll see. Kisner, I got to start by him, but chances are I probably will not give him a play. He can do good at this course. However, it's... like I said, this course is going to be big on distance. He's poor at the distance in the distance category. So he's not going to be ideal, even though he somewhat meet every other stat guideline that I have on him. But it's just not appealing. I have a star by him because he could be a good pivot play, but not for me. A sneaky pivot play would be Grillo. Manuel Grillo, he can be a good pivot play because for his stat lines, he is in the yellow for everything. He is good for everything except for his distance, except for his scrambling. Now, the reason why I say he could be a good sneaky play, simply because his distance, yeah, it's marked poor, but he's not like horrible. His distance, it's like, it's okay, it's not great, but it's not horrible. So he could be a good pivot play for a cheap price. Another guy that could be a great pivot play is Molinari. His off the tee is good. His tee to green is great. His approach is great. His distance is bad, and that's one thing I'm hitting on. Like, I would rather have his accuracy bad versus his distance, and have everything else hit green or yellow or great and good in every other category. However, that's not the case with Molinari. His distance is bad, his accuracy is good, and his scrambling is average. Which I won't completely fade him, but if I were to be putting McIlroy and Johnson in the same lineup, I will probably have some Molinari in there. With Vegas, be honest with you, I didn't put a star by him simply because I don't see him doing that great at this course. Yeah, we seen what he did at the last weekend at the Canadian Open. That was an easy course. It was a smaller course or a shorter course, and it was an easy course. So don't expect the same results. So I mean, he could come in the top 30, but I won't expect the same results. So you can play him at your own will, but I won't be. Here and then Kyle Stanley. Here's a guy that let me down over and over. Well, not over and over again. He let me down once, I think, once or twice. But again, it's all about, you can't just jump on a guy and get off of him and jump on somebody else and get off of him. You can't just always just pick a guy one week and then say I'm not going to pick him again. You got to kind of give them that chance to get back in form. Kyle Stanley, he is, when it comes to every my stat line category, he meets 4. Distance is poor, but guess what? It's not horrible. And because it's not horrible and he hits the green or he's great in every other stat line, like off the tee, approach, tee to green, and accuracy, I will probably have him in the majority of my lineups. He probably will have a good little ownership on him too. I think his ownership would be somewhere at 10, between 10 and maybe 15. I think he's going to be a guy that most of the professional DFS players know about and will try to pick and choose. But that shouldn't deter you from him because I think he will come in the top 20, if not top 10. Brendan Steele. This guy here, he's definitely let me and a whole lot of people down before. But at the end of the day, you can't take away his stats. When it comes to what I'm looking for, oh wow, I believe I mispriced one of my stat lines for him. Okay, anyways, so when it comes to what I'm looking for from Brendan Steele, when you see the 48 that actually should be an orange, which means average. So for the 48, that would be approach, I believe. Yes, that would be approach. So his approach is average. His off the tee and tee to green are good. His approach is average. His distance is good. His accuracy is poor, and his scrambling is average. So basically what I'm saying to you is he is a good not pivot play. He's a good sneaky play. However, he comes with a risk because he hasn't been in great form as of lately. But at the end of the day, all it takes is one game to turn things around. I mean, like I said, I believe the Bridgestone has no cut, so it's going to be a little bit trickier when selecting golfers. So you're going to want to select golfers outside the box. And one of the big things you're going to want to look at or look into selecting when picking golfers are how good do they hit their birdies. I mean, this course is more par 4 than anything, distance par 4. So, I mean, looking at my stat lines, you're going to say, okay, if it's more distance and par 4 birdies, why are you only looking at these stats? Well, that's just because of how I build my process. My process of picking golfers are a lot different than John Doe, so once you develop a process and know what to look for, you're going to do it your way. But to give you a little bit of insight, you're going to want to look for the par 4 birdie hitters or makers. They're going to be the ones you're going to want to try to find ownership on or get ownership on. And also you're going to want to I hate saying it, but yeah, you're going to want to look for guys who, mostly those par 4 hitters are going to come, birdie makers are going to come from distance hitters, the big strikers. So you're going to want to look at those guys. However, keep in mind, a lot of people are going to want to look at those guys. So a lot of those guys that you're going to be looking at are going to be people like, when it comes to distance, Garcia, Matsuyama, Fowler, Rose, Scott, Fleetwood. They're going to come. People are going to know about those distance hitters and those birdie makers, and they're going to want to get those guys. So you're not going to separate yourself from the crowd, so you got to keep that in mind too. The big narrative for the two big narratives for this Bridgestone tournament are: one, they want Dustin Johnson to win because he won it last year, and they seen what Jonathan Vegas did for the Canadian Open last weekend. So that's one big narrative, that Dustin Johnson may win this one again. The next big narrative is you're going to want to get a ball striker, a golfer who has good distance and who can hit par 4 birdies. That's what you're going to want to those are the two biggest narratives. I'm not saying don't listen to them, don't use them, don't go with them, but let's just say if you can take a little bit of going with the narrative and building your own process, I think you'll be okay. So yeah, and that's how I feel about it. Now, my last guy. This is the guy I was telling you about earlier. He is the sneaky play. He may or may not do as good. Now, when it comes to every category, or 4 out of 6 categories, I have him ranked at great. Now, when it comes to accuracy, when it comes to, and this is Noti, Fabricio Noti, I don't know, I can't pronounce his name. But when it comes to his accuracy, he's great. When it comes to his scrambling ability, he's great. Again, I highly stress this. Scrambling is going to be one of the big factors in this game because, yeah, you can get a big-time hitter who can hit it far, but if their ability to scramble and make it back up these bunkers or to the green, then they're not going to be as effective. So that's something you want to understand. Which, and going back to Dustin Johnson, that's why I have him ranked with a 3-star, because he hits 5 out of 6 of my categories, and the only category he lacks is accuracy. But he makes up for it with scrambling, so keep in mind. But back to Nannoti, he's a sneaky play. He could be a boom or bust. He ranks. He's great for accuracy. He's great for scrambling. He's great for approach. He's great for tee to green, and he's good for off the tee. Now, where he lacks, he's poor when it comes to distance. So that's going to be that difference maker with him. If I had to give any advice and say for a low end player which player you should choose, I would point you to Nanote, because I believe he's gonna be nobody. I don't think hardly anybody is gonna be on him. I think he's gonna be that guy that goes overlooked, and he's gonna be a difference maker when constructing your lineup. Again, he's gonna be a risk. He's gonna be a risky play. He's gonna be either a boom or a bust. But like I said, I would rather take a risk with Nanote, which is a lower end player, a price player, versus taking a risk with McIlroy, who's a higher price player. And I'm not saying McIlroy would do bad. He probably would do great. But at the end of the day, that's just where I stand, And I'm probably gonna have some McIlroy, but not as much. I'm probably gonna have more DJ and Rahm versus McIlroy, and it is what it is, Again, I gave you a few good looks at the guys that I'm looking at. The guys with 3 stars are the ones that I'm highly interested in. The guys with 2 stars are the ones that are pivot plays that probably will make my lineup. And the guys with 1 stars are going to be pivot plays / just, they're going to be the ones that I look to construct my lineup, and that are going to be overlooked. So yeah, there you go, man. Like, if you check my last video with my PGA player picks, you'll see that I picked pretty much everybody in the top 30 on that list. Almost everybody in the top 30 on my list made the top 30. And and I'm proud of that, because I don't really care for golf, but someone told me a long time ago, like, dude, if you're going to be doing DFS and you favor a sport, you want to be careful, because you might have biasness towards the players, towards the team, so on and so forth, and you might end up either picking those players or teams over and over, or diverting from picking those players and teams over and over because you don't like the team or like the player. I have no skin in the game when it comes to golf. I don't like or dislike players. I can't say I don't. I can't say I don't have biasness, because I did say I do have a little biasness towards Jordan Spieth, but it's not that I would never pick him. It's just that I would never bypass my process to pick him because he's the highly favored, if that makes sense. That's where I would I draw the line. Now, when it comes to Jordan Spieth, if he's in a course that I feel that fits him very well, I will pick him. I will. But I just won't go out my way to pick him. I mean, I like he's analytical. He's very patient. I don't want to say patient. He's very analytical. He knows what he's doing when playing golf. He knows what he's doing. So I can't take anything from him. But yeah, like I said, look at my last video. You'll see that most of the guys on my pick list, they came in the top 30. I think it was 4 guys that did not make the cut. 4 guys that did not make the cut. 2 of them, however, are guys that I was never gonna pick, and I don't even know why I even had them on my list. One was Adam Hadwin, and the other one was I think Kang. He was an Asian golfer. He didn't do too well, and Adam Hadwin actually was doing okay, but he kind of fell behind. And I had him on my list because, like Brandon Steele, like I said about Brandon Steele, they're not bad picks. They're just more of a higher risk pick than anything. And for their price point, it would have been worth it because their price point was so low that I would be willing to chance them in my lineup versus somebody that was higher priced. Now the other 2 picks that didn't make the cut, it didn't take me by surprise. It's just I was kind of upset about it because I overlooked the fact that this is a birdie fest, the Canadian Open was a birdie fest, and the guys, my 2 guys that didn't make the pick from my last video was Shane Lowry and Bo Weekley, I think. Now, it's not that all right. Shane Lowry, I think he had like -3, so he was under 3. But the thing is, he needed a 4 to make the cut, and he actually made his way all the way up to, I think, under 8, under 9. But then, you know, the last day, or not last day, Thursday, Friday, he just started bogeying, and I was just like, where the fuck is this coming from? Like, I expected this on Thursday when the rain was about to come, but then all of a sudden he just started bogeying, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? And it was the same situation with Boo Weekly. And the reason why I was upset about him is because I put the research in to figure out what golfers would be the best golfers to get, and check the ownership on them. And Boo Weekly, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his first name right. It might be Bo Weekly. Again, I don't follow golf. I run numbers. But Boo Weekly was owned 0.4%. No, I'm lying. I don't know. I think it was 0. It was either 0.4 or 0.6%. He was owned 0.4% in most of my tournaments. And guess what? He was doing great. But come Friday, it just was a bogey fest. He ended his weekend with, I think, an even cut. But it's just, it came out of nowhere. Bogeys left and right out of nowhere. I mean, he was 8 under, -8. And I was like, yes, this was a great pick. But then it just out of nowhere, bogey. Him and Shane Lowry. So again, like I said, I would rather pick the lower guys and have a risk and take that risk factor versus picking a higher guy, because Boo Weekly and Shane Lowry, they were priced low. They were like low tier to low mid tier. Low mid tier to low tier, I should say. And it allowed me to really construct a great lineup. Now, I didn't make it into the money because I chose not to go with the narrative of getting Jonathan Vegas. I chose to not go with Ian Poulter. I chose to go with DJ, and DJ was doing good. I mean, I was like, I was in, I think, position 300. I think I was like, I think I held like under 300 or right there at 300 when it comes to the position for a few of my tournaments. But again, like I said, man, Boo Weekly and Shane Lowry just started bogeying out the world, and I was just like, what the hell? And you know, shit happens. Well, it is what it is. You know, that's why you got to have bankroll management. That's why you got to, you know, be conscious about how you do your lineups. So what I've learned from that is, I'm gonna, instead of having 2 sneaky plays, I'll just focus on 1 sneaky play. And again, my sneaky play for this weekend's tournament is gonna be Zanotti, or whatever his name is. I think he's gonna be he's not gonna be highly owned. I think he's gonna be somebody that everybody overlooks, and he can be a boom or bust. And I'm hoping he's a boom, you know. But you know, it is what it is. So, you know, if you like what I did, like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.